tactical training school, fencing of the barracks land, and establishing a reserve brigade. President Museveni promised to handle them all because they are crucial issues.
I came 1972 and I was repulsed on this side. I had to withdraw. Then I came 79. Then I came 85. But these days I'm very happy to come here peacefully without coming to. So don't be worried that I'm coming to attack you. When you are training, you are you should start with the individual soldier. The individual soldier must be confident, must be a confident soldier. When we were in Mozambique, we used to call them acts individual, individual acts of a soldier. How to disassemble the rifle, how to put it together, to assemble, marksmanship, how to be a good marksman, how to kutambua na kutumia cover. That's very crucial for a soldier to know, because many of the soldiers fear because they are ignorant. They think that when I was starting with my people in Ruero, they would fear sound. So I said, I told them that you people, when the lightning explodes, do you die? How many people have died when the lightning explodes? Nobody had died. Because the lightning is exploding, but it's not aiming at you. So I said, don't fear noise, don't fear explosions. Learn how to kutambua na kutumia cover, na wewe mwenyewe kutumia silaha yako vizuri. If you are very well trained, you have confidence as an individual soldier. So in your training, you make sure this one, don't just say, oh, sindio, onalinga, kutazama. Just talking. Go systematically. So I'm happy to be here. I have heard everything you have said. I just came to congratulate you, to also hear the issues you have raised. Your division commander has raised them. We are going to follow up systematically according to the means we have. But I'm very happy with what you are doing. Thank you very much.
The President and Commander-in-Chief of the UPDF, His Excellency General Yoweri Museveni, has applauded the UPDF for having effectively applied the concept of the combined arms doctrine, which he said has been crucial for the success of the ongoing Operation Shuja. Museveni made these remarks at the Mountain Division headquarters in Muhoti, Kabarole District. Haruna Mutasasira reports.
Uganda People's Defense Forces UPDF and Armed Forces of Democratic Republic of Congo FARDC launched a joint operation against ADF in eastern Congo on November 30th, 2021 with bombardment on 4 major camps. Since then, the two forces have captured several camps and secured major routes in eastern Congo, enabling ground battle teams to pursue the ADF rebels who had fled to the thick forests. Operation Suji officers from the Armored Brigade, Artillery, Air Force, Communication in Mountain Division converged at Muhoti Barracks in Kabarole District to meet the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, General Yoweri Museveni. the Chief of Defense Forces, General Wilson Mbasu Mbadi, briefed the president about the progress of the ongoing Operation Suja aimed at pacifying Eastern Congo.
The preliminary aim for which Suja was mooted has been really achieved, and that was to destroy the ADF main camps so that we can deny them freedom of action.
Mbadi said the ongoing road construction project on Kasindi, Beni, Butembo, Bunagana, Rushuru facilitate the movement of troops and other strategic decisions made between the forces of the two countries. To avoid back and forth attacks between the ADF rebels, President Museveni has advised the UPDF to intensify Operation Suja security mechanism to avoid further insurgents in areas already secured by the joint forces.
The Mountain Division is a specialized force. Because you are fighting in a terrain which is very steep, but also very cold. Very cold. So the soldiers must be able to overcome, and rainy, sometimes it's raining all the time. So the Mountain Division must be prepared differently and clothed differently. Warm suits, waterproof. Those are very, very crucial.
He said that the capacity of UPDF troops in Operation Suja has been able to make maximum damage on the enemy at minimum cost.
To know that as long as I have bullets and I use the terrain properly and I'm coordinating with my people in a squad, in a section, in a platoon, no enemy will remove me from here. I will only go from here on orders, because the commanders have ordered me to go, but not because the enemy has frightened me. This is the confidence I want.
The Commander-in-Chief said the military operation in Eastern Congo is very crucial for peace and stability of both countries. He applauded the Air Force's reconnaissance role, which he said enabled the UPDF to inflict heavy losses on the ADF rebels on the first day of the operation. The Air Force and long-range artillery was later followed by the advancement of the infantry through Busunga, Kamango, Mkakati to River Semriki. The Mountain Division Commander Major General Kayanja Mohanga assured the Commander-in-Chief that UPDF remain committed towards implementing the presidential strategic directives to ensure there is peace and stability in Eastern Congo.
Our operation objective is to destroy ADF rebel camps, groups in Eastern DRC. Our military operational end state is to degrade the ADF capacity.
Operation Suja is being implemented following a memorandum of understanding between the government of Uganda and DRC to conduct a joint operation for eradication of ADF in Eastern Congo. Haruna Mutesasira, UBC.
The M23 rebels have refuted media reports that they're backed by the external forces and ethnicity in their mission. The M23 rebel spokesperson, Major Willie Ngoma, said this in Bunagana town in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo after the government forces attacked one of their bases. We have the details in this report.
Congolese living in Goma are protesting against alleged reports that Rwanda is backrolling the M23 rebels of Tutsi origin against the Hutu living in Eastern DRC. The M23 rebel spokesperson, Major Willie Ngoma, says the M23 rebels are not influenced by anybody in their fight for justice and development in Eastern DRC.
Hatuna support hata mmoja. Support yetu ni akili yetu na tuko na determination kabisa na hiyo maneno. Ajili Kongo inabidi tembee vizuri sana.
Ngoma also revealed that their fight for justice and development is not financed by any external actors, and reports of segregations are far-fetched in their struggle for peace.
Timiza maneno tuliyokubaliana. Hiyo ndio shida. Hapana, shida haiko kwa kupiga sisi. Wanajua tulisaini agreement na government ya Kongo itimize hiyo agreement tulisaini. Haiko kukua kupiga sisi M23, tunapiganisha amani, tunapenda watu waishi mzuri ndani ya nchi yetu.
As the East African Community member states prepare to deploy the East African Standby Brigade to stabilize the volatile Eastern DRC, Major Ngoma appealed to the EAC heads of state to implement the 2014 agreement they agreed on.
Watu waka pamoja waone ile shida ni nini. Sababu sasa tulisaini agreement. Watu walikuwa wa witness walikuwa pale. Hiyo nilikuwa AU SADC. Wote walikuwa wanajua hiyo. Wale watu yote, haiko tu President Museveni, President Kagame, wale watu yote wanajua hiyo. Tulisign agreement.
Major Ngoma revealed that the presence of Congolese in neighboring countries as refugees is a matter of concern that the Kinshasa-based government has failed to address to have her nationals return home. Despite the Congolese refugee question, Ngoma said the M23 rebel force is ready for peace talks with the Kinshasa-based government for the betterment of the people and economic transformation.
Amani ingie ndani ya Kongo, maneno itembee vizuri. Watu yote, refugee yetu yote warudie, must come back. Hii ndio kabisa tunapenda sana. Lakini M23 anapenda amani juu ya Kongomani yote. Tunapenda amani kuwe, maneno hii ya tribalism iishi ndani ya Kongo. Wakamati hiyo agreement, watimize maneno ambayo tuliokubaliana. Just it's very simple. It's very simple. Hao wanakuja kushambulia sisi. I must fight, my sister. Hatuwezi kamata tunafunga mkono.
However, Major Ngoma condemned the government forces that ordered people to protest in Goma.
Kama viongozi ya nchi wanaanza sema na watu wakamate mpango, wakamate kisu, waue watu wengine sababu pua yao iko mrefu, sababu hawana morphology sawa wengine. Hiyo ndio shida kabisa, sio tutapigana nayo kabisa.
Ngoma denied alleged reports that Uganda is also supporting the M23 rebels.
Hawabidi kabisa waseme hiyo maneno ya ubaguzi. Kiongozi ni mtu anatia watu yote waishi pamoja. Unaona kama unafika Uganda, mzee Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, president anafanya kitu vizuri, watu wanaishi vizuri sana. Mutoro, Lugara, Muteso, watu yote wanakaa fasi moja. Unaona security kwa Uganda ni vizuri sana.
Streets in Bunagana remain deserted. However, we managed to meet some women who are being sheltered at Kavumaga Primary School. They said that they failed to cross over to Uganda due to sounds of bullets. Here, cattle keepers said that at night they crossed to Uganda to sleep, and in the morning they returned to DRC to graze their animals.
Now, still in Bunagana, hundreds of Congolese refugees are stranded at Bunagana border as the M23 rebels block them from crossing back to the DRC from Uganda. The refugees who first crossed to Uganda claim that the living conditions in the transit center at Nakabande in Tisoro district are appalling with no basic needs. Now, as Philip Aguta reports, the refugees have now taken shelter under people's shops at Bunagana town on the Ugandan side since they can't go anywhere.
The overwhelming number of refugees along the road is what fascinates one while driving from Kisoro town to Bunagana border. These are refugees who first crossed to Uganda on Monday when the M23 rebels took over Bunagana town on DR Congo side. But they now claim the living conditions in the transit center at Nakabande in Kisoro districts are poor and they don't have basic needs.
Nagabuze n'amazi ntago n'isabuni ntabyo none nakora iki hano
uko batashaka abantu bariyo twe twari twaragiye Nyakabanda twagiye mbere none abana bose bandwariye tani ikintu cyo mfite cyo kubagurira ibintu kugenda ngere mu rugo ndebe twakanemba twarumye ndukorere mvuza abana mbe mu rugo.
The refugees wanted to cross back to Congo and access food and basic needs, but they have now been blocked by the M23 rebels at the border who are still in control of Bunagana town in Congo.
Umugore wanje asigarayo asigayeyo ngeziranye ko bande inzara iranjuye tatahutse n'umugore wanje ariri.
The refugees are now faced with water and food crisis as they get stranded at the Bunagana Town Council on Ugandan side.
Abako government yadufasha ikaduhereza amazi turi kuja mu Kongo twagera mu Kongo aba wihanganye twagerayo kugira ngo wanyuze mu ishamba gurusabo uko wagera mu Kongo ubona amazi.
Are these guys from Congo?
Most of the youthful refugees are seen loitering in the streets of Bunagana, while others have taken shelter under the verandas of the buildings in town. Uganda Red Cross Operations Team leader in the DRC refugee response says famine and the risks associated with poor hygiene will escalate if the crisis in the DRC continues.
The more we get the population, the more of course needs increase. But we are very glad that always partners are keeping on resource mobilizing, they are mobilizing resources to add to whatever is being done here. Of course we are aware that should this situation continue, we shall be having a stretch of needs and more especially needs of resources and funding to support the gaps that will be happening.
The refugee crisis started on Monday this week when the M23 rebels fighting the DR Congo government took over Bunagana town in DRC. Philip Aguta, UBC News in Bunagana town at Uganda-DRC border.
The Congolese refugee influx has overwhelmed most of the facilities in Nachivale refugee resettlement camp, with leaders, humanitarian agencies and implementing partners worried about what would happen next if the unrest in DR Congo doesn't stop. Now, officials from Windle International say all the education facilities are full beyond their required capacity, yet there are no funds to construct more infrastructure to cater for them all. We have the details.
In April, the M23 rebels attacked the Congolese army barracks and led a huge influx of Congolese nationals running to Uganda through Bunagana border in Kacyiru district for safety. The same situation became worse a few days when the same rebels reignited the battle against the Congolese army, which again saw more than 50,000 refugees fleeing to Uganda. The influx has had a toll both in Kisoro and Isingiro, where these refugees are received and resettled respectively. In Nachivale resettlement camp, schools are all full to capacity.
So far the facilities that we have are already being overwhelmed. Now if we receive more, we shall have no classroom to put them.
This time we registered 2022, and when the Congo refugees came in, the number increased to 2,715, and they are still coming.
Nachivale, located in Isingiro district, was earmarked as the resettlement home for these new refugees. While the refugees continue coming in, the infrastructure remains the same. Classrooms that were built to accommodate 50 learners and 3 per desk are now host to over 120, with 6 sitting on the same desk.
In the Ugandan standard, a class is supposed to have one class is supposed to have 53 learners. But you find that in this settlement, we're having a class having 120 learners.
Nachivale refugee resettlement camp has got 1 refugee and community secondary school and 11 primary schools. Despite the limited infrastructure, none of these has less than 2,000 learners, and the congestion in the classrooms is overwhelming. In some schools visited, pupils have no desks and can only learn while sitting on the floor, and others in the tree shades.
Learners have the morale to learn, but they are most especially challenged by the environment at the study centers. Learners are learning under the tree shades, which is also a big challenge.
So we need more structures for those learners. And even the isolation centers, because we have this COVID-19 epidemic.
With the coming in, over 500 learners have already come, which means the available resources are again going to be stretched to accommodate the new arrivals.
Besides, the number of teachers available compared to the number of learners isn't proportional.
Thank you so much.
Whereas Window International Uganda, with the funding from Latter-day Saint Charities from the US, constructed 2 classroom blocks valued at $1 billion to improve the quality of education and decongest classroom. Officials say these later appear to be a drop in the ocean.
We are still not so comfortable that what we have is enough, although progress has been made. But now the new influx that more refugees are coming in and being resettled in Nachi Valley, again our resources are going to be strained.
Leaders and implementing partners working within Nachi Valley have now appealed to government and donors to put emphasis on putting up basic infrastructure in health, education and wash facilities to cater for the incoming Congolese refugees.
We still need more support from everyone around us, and in case of any support, please, we'll be grateful.
Kacyiru Seed Secondary School in Tapak Sub-County in Moroto District that cost 1.4 billion Uganda shillings has been turned into a corral for cattle by the community. The school has never conducted any class since it was completed in the year 2019. It has no teachers, no staff houses and furniture. We have details in this report.
It is a government policy that every sub-county should have a secondary school. In Moroto, government has Nanduget SS in Nanduget sub-county, Kacyiru Seed Secondary School in Tapak sub-county, and the newly constructed Rupa Seed Secondary School in Rupa sub-county. However, Kacyiru is not operating since it was completed in 2019. It has no teachers, it has no furniture and staff houses.
How can you select a site where there are no communities? You leave the communities away 10 kilometers away. Where you don't even expect even a child. Even if they have to turn this school, you have to be a day scholar school. You cannot get in a paper in a student.
Rooms that have been constructed, they don't have furniture. And because the handover has not been done, you don't know whether the contractor did not complete the project or the district paid for the work which was not completed.
The project contractors have never handed over the school to the district leadership.
And there is no indication from the district that they are following up the contractor to hand over.
The ministry sometimes is monitoring. Our work is to give the input, like the district engineer. We give the input of monitoring the progress of the project and we'll see which level before payment is done.
According to Moroto District leadership, Ministry of Education has recruited acting head teachers.
They sent a head teacher, acting, assigned as a caretaker, to start the school. But other teachers are not yet posted. So the school cannot begin.
And to be running without the teachers' accommodation. Because even that teacher, there is nowhere that even that teacher can sleep. Even the washerman could be even here, maybe taking care of all these kind of things. As you can see, most of the classes here, like this classes of the windows, they are all broken.
The school is surrounded by bushes, no padlocks on the buildings, and the classes are full of dung, which shows that it is utilized as kraal for cattle at night.
See this kind of cow dung. It shows you that, it tells you that this is the place where the animals sleep. When you see this kind of thing, this cow dung is not for temporal. It's not like maybe they have just put the animals inside for a short time, then maybe after that time. So this one shows that it is trans-night.
Moroto District Chief Administrative Officer Charles Komakech says they have written several letters to Ministry of Education, but in vain.
I notified the Ministry of Education in writing, in meetings. We have ever gone there with a delegation to tell them to send for us teachers. But all they tell us is they are still recruiting. They're in the process of recruiting teachers for Katekikile. It is called Katekikile Senior Secondary School.
He promised us that they will still need to come and assess, and the engineer in our meeting that time was tasked to make a BOQ on how to make the repairs and also teachers' houses. So we are still waiting for the feedback from the ministry.
Resident District Commissioner for Moroto, George William Wopua, blames district leaders for failing to supervise government projects.
It's an example of waste of public resources. And the people go around and they blame the president, that the president has done nothing for Karamoja. This is one of the things the members of parliament and the local leaders would be pushing to get done. How can a school be constructed? There has been no handover, it's abandoned.
The Deputy RDC Moroto, Justin Tuko, has a message for fellow Karamojong leaders.
To Karamoja region, about 90% of the resources in Uganda has been injected to Karamoja. You see now when you say this kind of a school here, it is just the technical team of districts that are letting this government down. So as leaders now, one of the things that they need to do is, they need to follow up these kind of the things. Then the other thing is they need also to synthesize the communities, to bring the students to this kind of.
Kacyiru Seed Secondary in Tapak Sub-County, Moroto District, was constructed in 2018-19 financial year with over 1.4 billion shillings funded by Government of Uganda through Ministry of Education.
Well, UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we return after these messages. Don't move an inch.
Jennifer, Jukila, Rewagamba, I don't have waka. You passed the ice through me about my waka. Now come and see for yourself, see my waka that I got with Momo Nyabo. Jambola be waka, look at you waka, see my waka.
Simply deposit 20K or more on your mobile money for a chance to win 3 Toyota Succeeds and money to 2,000 lucky winners every week. We're giving away 24 cars and over 2 billion shillings of mobile money.
Fellow citizens, thank you for diligently and consistently honoring your tax obligations. It is through your collective contribution that the government is able to provide social services. In spite of the simultaneous global crises that have hit our livelihoods and businesses, you have proven that as a people, we can rise up and still mobilize domestic revenues enough to sustain us as a country. As we close in to the end of this financial year, I urge you not to lose the momentum and resilience that you have demonstrated all year through. Please file your returns and remit your taxes in time to avoid unnecessary inconveniences that come with non-compliance. As Uganda Revenue Authority, we are committed to facilitate you in honoring your obligations through a reliable and delightful service. I invite you to use our various e-platforms to remit your tax contributions with ease and on time. We have extended all our working hours at all our border stations, the bonded warehouses, and service centers. Should you need further assistance, please contact us via our toll-free lines and our WhatsApp platforms. Tax is the surest way of liberating our country from the bondage of economic dependence. Let us all play our part, pay our dues, and develop our country. For God and my country.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together.
The Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is back on Sunday, 3rd July 2022 at Lubiri Mengo. This year, the run will be physical and will be flagged off by Sabasaja Kabaka at 7 a.m. Come out in large numbers once again to Lubiri Mengo. Run for a cause to fight and end HIV by 2030. Buy your ticket today at 15,000 Uganda shillings from Airtel shops at Tobani Center, New Taxi Park, ShopRite Building, Benchwanka Street, Majestic Brands Office at Bulange Mengo. You can also buy your ticket using Airtel Money. Dial *185*5 hash. Select Payments, select Kabaka Run, and follow the prompts to complete the payment. Kabaka Birthday Run 2022 is brought to you by UNAID, CBS, BBS, and Airtel, the smartphone network.
Affordable packages, great entertainment, sports, local content, telenovela, the movies. There is something for everybody. Go TV, this is where great stories live.
Get the best entertainment for any budget. With GoTV, you will have great entertainment for as little as 13,000 Uganda shillings per month. GoTV, great stories, Zidiwano. GoTV Uganda, love it.
Get connected today with the My Airtel 4G smartphone and enjoy free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 Uganda shillings. That's free 2 GB for the first month and free 1 GB for the next 11 months at only 250,000 Uganda shillings with free data for 1 whole year worth 86,500 shillings, making the effective price of the 4G phone 163,500 shillings only. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back from that break, and now into the business scene. Fish farmers in East Africa have decried lack of fish feed industry in the region, saying that importation of the fish feeds has limited their profit margin. In Uganda alone, private fish farmers produce 60,000 tons of fish per annum. Adiana Kuti with a report.
In Uganda, fish is one of the major foreign exchange earners, contributing 2.6% of gross domestic product (GDP) and 12% to agricultural GDP. However, fish farmers are facing a constraint of fish feeds since there is no fish feed industry in the whole of the East African region. The issue of fish feed was raised during the second steering committee meeting for the True Fish project under the East African Community, spearheaded by Lake Victoria Fisheries Organization.
Currently, all the fish farmers are importing feed from overseas. Like for sun, we are importing from Brazil, we're importing from Egypt, importing from Mauritius. There are a few containers coming from Zambia. And you would imagine now with the global crisis of, say, logistics, we are really suffering. And of course, investment in feed is something that Uganda can sustain because the major inputs in feed production is maize, soya, and a few other ingredients.
True Fish is a project geared at advancing aquaculture not only in Uganda but in the whole of the East African region. The aim is to harness the fishing industry to contribute to the economic well-being of the people of East Africa.
We need to protect the biodiversity of our fish. We do not want to bring in any new species, but to develop the genetic improvement programs for our local species. Number two, it has also addressed on the issue of skilling, so that
we expect that we'll be able to transform now the fish farming, which is still subsistence, to be more and more commercial because of the components of business development that we want now to be able to do fish farming which is economically viable. Fish farmers, they know the kind of inputs they're supposed to use, they know where are they supposed to sell their fish and the likes.
East African governments have now been urged to attract investment in the fish feed industry to support fish farmers. Adiana Kuti, UBC.
Well, that's it for now, but do join us at 10 o'clock for our second edition of UBC News Tonight with more stories with me, Laurin Masika Kazimoto, and Muhammad Mugalu on sign language interpretation. We will see you at 10.